Antonio, so nice of you to join us and our viewers. How are you today?
Very good. Thank you so much, Chris. And you?
I'm doing great, absolutely, and I'm excited to talk to you about your company and what you've been doing. Just to let our viewers know, we uh, honored you in our nominations article, leaders choosing other leaders who are doing something important to really respect and realize the value of people. And Ed Bastian, who we love from Delta, had nominated you, and for very good reasons. When we first came on to realizing what you were about, um, I was blown away actually by it. I did not know about your company, and when Ed recommended you guys, I said, "Wow, this is just extraordinary." And so we're going to let you talk a little bit about it in a minute. But first of all, just thank you for what you're doing and for how you're really changing the world in a lot of ways. So we really appreciate that, and we first want to just thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate it.
So when we honored you, we asked you for some quotes and to answer some questions for us. And one of the first things that you told us, which was really compelling, you talked about our section, social capital, and you said it's ultimately about people. And people are the reason why we started someone somewhere. A lot of people don't know what you do and don't know what you're about. And I would love you to just tell our viewers what you do rather than me telling them what you do because you do such a wonderful job of it. What is someone somewhere about? What is your business model about, and what do you do?
Of course. So, Someone Somewhere is a brand that works with indigenous artisans in rural communities. And what we do is that we combine their traditional handcrafts with sustainable materials, modern designs, a lot of technology, and connections to the markets so that they can raise out of the poverty line and we can create products that are better for the planet and for the people who make them.
So it's such an incredible concept, right? Because it goes to that very basic idea of, you could give a man a fish or you could teach him how to fish. And, you're helping these people to become very productive, successful owners, essentially, company owners, right? And, it's such an incredible idea. And tell us a little bit and tell our viewers a little bit about how you came to want to do that and how you came to have that idea, because it's a pretty cool story.
Of course. So the brand was started by myself and two of my best friends. We've known each other since we were 5 years old. And since we were in high school some time ago, we started going on volunteering trips to different communities. And in these trips, we became very close with a lot of families and realized that they were extremely talented, but they were only lacking the right opportunities. In these communities, a lot of people are artisans. Actually, only in Mexico, there are more than 10 million artisans,
Wow.
and around the world, more than 300 million. So it's the second largest source of employment in all Latin America, Africa, and Asia after agriculture. But artisans are usually in very remote villages, so you don't see all of them at the same time. But after visiting a lot of communities, we realized there was a very clear pattern of really, really talented people that were just missing the connection to the markets and the right guidance on the type of products, materials that they should be making. So that's how we started. In one of the first communities we visited, we started with a group of 5 women who were amazing with their hands, making very beautiful things. And we made new, actually, like the t-shirt I'm wearing
Mm.
was our first product. And they helped us embroider the pockets. And we brought them to the city and realized people really loved the idea because most of them understood how buying from artisans would have a huge impact, but they hadn't found products that they would actually wear on an everyday basis. Mostly they bought them as souvenirs. Uh, so the idea was how to create products that you don't have to sacrifice like quality or style to wear them.
So, so many of us know about that experience of going to a foreign country, or I mean, even sometimes in our own country, you come upon a street vendor or whatnot, and you see these extraordinary products, and you say, "Oh, wow, this person's so talented." But how much are they making? How are they living? And you can tell by the way they're dressed or by the way they look that they're clearly probably not making a great deal of money doing this. And we all make that judgment of how could I help? Maybe we'll buy more of their products or whatever. But you guys went the extra mile here. You went to the next level and said, how can we create a company and actually teach get these people into a system whereby they can actually make more profits, we can create profits. How difficult was that to do? How long did it take for you to get from that idea to actually making this happen?
Great question. I would say at first it was very difficult because we arrived with some ideas of like making apps and like the way we thought things should work, and we tried dozens of different ways. We knew that the key was finding a very scalable way of working with artisans, because
Yeah.
since day zero we were like, if we're gonna do this, we need to build something where we'll be able to make millions of products with artisans, because that's the only way we'll have a real impact. So after a lot of different things, one day we were like, why don't we just work, like ask the community how would they do it? And their idea was 10 times better than ours. So I think a key learning was like, if you want to help someone, listen more than talk.
Mm.
Uh, and also, very quickly we realized that it was not us helping the communities. It was gonna be more of a collaboration where we learn even more than what we teach them. And in our side, it's only creating the connection to the right places and using the resources we have to build a better highway for their products. Uh, but I think it took us years to get to the model that we felt really comfortable with. But once we found it, and it's based exactly on local leaders, and we help them build cooperatives and organize on the right way, I think once we found it started to become easier. And maybe to move from the first community to the second took us years, but then the third one took months, and the fourth one took weeks. And now we can scale quite quickly because we have a model that really works for the artisans and for the company.
I love that, and I love one of the things I love most about that is, when you set out to help people with a nonprofit, so often it's about the people helping being in control. The people helping are giving these people something, and they try to listen, and nonprofits are well intentioned. They try to listen, but they don't have the incentive to listen that you had an economic incentive to listen and to partner with them. And so I love hearing what you said about that you know they gave us ideas for how to do this that were even better than how we thought that we could do it. And I mean, I would love to, if you've got a couple of things you could share along those lines. Were there some things that they taught you or told you that you remember that were made a great impact?
Of course. So, for example, one was we were worried about making sure we could make productions on time, and with the right qualities, because in the communities there's a lot of things that go on, like festivities, or if someone gets sick, they need to travel to the city to find help. So we were worried about that, and we shared this, and they told us, why don't we make groups of 5 people, and instead of a person saying how much they want to produce, each group, that is a group of neighbors, will say it. So if for any reason one of the 5 can't achieve the production on time,
Wow.
the 4 will help, and that way we have way more control, and that helped us a lot. Another very cool one was we didn't know how to make sure we had quality, like the right quality. So this year we will make more than 10 million products, and 99.5% of them will pass every quality check possible.
Oh,
And
wow.
we tried a lot of processes and systems to achieve this, and eventually we realized, and they told us, like, why don't we sign the products? That way we will know it.
Wow.
If there is a first, that way for them it becomes more of a piece of art with their
Yeah.
name, so they don't want to show to the world that they can't do it correctly. And if there's any mistake, we know exactly where it comes from, and we can help that artisan to improve the way it's doing it, or finding if
Wow.
there's something in the house that they need to make it better. So that very simple hack changes everything, because it's allowing us to produce at scale and have even better quality than if we worked in a factory.
God, I love that. That's so, I mean, talk about empowering, people and just learning from people and, just that interactivity and collaboration. I mean, that's uh, the perfect idea of how a company should work, with I mean, you could, based on how you're doing your company, I mean, you could write lessons on just how any company should be run and could be run when you listen to those people on the ground level, and say, okay, we're not going to tell you how to make these products. We're going to ask you how you can make these products better and, come up with your ideas, give you ownership of it. That is just so cool. Wow, hats off to you for that. And thank you for sharing that. That is so intriguing. Um, you talked about these artisans, how many artisans there are in the world, and it's a mind-boggling number. And when you talk about, bringing these people essentially out of poverty, and I don't think enough people realize we talk about all these big ideas that we're going to fix, but we seem to look past the very simple ones. And the idea that uh, there's a lot of people in this world who are in poverty and don't need to be, aren't there?
Totally, 100%.
Um, is this? Do you see some of these people? Have you been able to see some of these people rise up, out of poverty over the years? Have you been able to, have like firsthand interaction with some of these people and see their lives improving? And what has that been like?
Yes, it's been amazing. I think something. So by working with this model, they earn 3 times more than the second best alternative they have in the community. So
Oh,
they raise completely out of the poverty line. It has even created some very fun challenges or good problems, like we have to teach them how to save money and how to manage it correctly. For
yeah.
a lot of was the first time in their lives that they had more than a week's worth of savings. Uh, what I really love is that in every community we work with, once they become comfortable and say we have enough, very quickly they start thinking on how to raise their neighbors, their cousins, all the people around them out of poverty as well. So
Wow.
we're worried that at some point some artisans would be greedy and would be like, okay, I can work 16 hours per day and give me all the work. And everywhere it's like once they have for what they need to be like calm, they start asking us like, oh, my cousin here also needs work, why don't we involve him, and they teach him or her how to do it. uh, so it's impressive how they think more of the community than on themselves, and we have learned a lot about that.
So it's like contagious. I mean, this is actually growing. It's it's growing organically with a lot of these people. That's extraordinary. You really you should really be so proud of what you're doing because this is extraordinary. And the beauty of this is that we believe so much, and we talk about this all the time about how capitalism, when it's done right, it works to to rise the tide for all, and for everyone to do better and everyone to grow. And this is like a perfect example. Like I was just thinking a few minutes ago, you could teach this in school as the perfect example of how capitalism can work all over the world. And it really is extraordinary. And um, I it's obviously the reason why other people are so compelled by this when they hear your story, and people like Ed Bastian and Delta, why he nominated you and talks so glowingly about you. Um, these partnerships are obviously important. You have an amazing partnership with Delta that you started for some of their products. Um, how did you start that partnership, and how do you create these partnerships? Because you're doing a great job of that.
Great question. I think after a few years, at the beginning we were focusing on selling. Like, we had our own online store, we started opening some physical stores, but at that point we realized that for the amount of artisans we wanted to reach, the key was finding partners that already had the reach and the scale, where we could put this philosophy and this model to make products, but where they already had a demand for something. And very luckily, uh, very soon after we started shifting or thinking about this model of partnerships, they learned about us actually in a magazine. We had just launched in the US a brand, and their supply chain team learned about us, and they reached out. The first call was very fun because it was like, guys, we love what you are doing. We just want to know if you can make millions of products this way. Uh, and we were like, yes, of course, that's the whole point. And uh, the, the very lucky thing was that they can fly, obviously. So they came to Mexico, to Oaxaca, and visited the communities with us, or some of the communities.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think I remember very well because for a while the key point was like, how can we make this possible? Because the concept is amazing. But once they came to the community and met the artisans, they were like, wow, this is totally possible. Uh,
Yeah.
so it took us about a year after that first visit to build all the supply chain, because all the materials are, for example, recycled cotton or polyester, or local. So also sustainability is a very big part. Uh, but we started building all the supply chain, adding more artisans to work with us. We already had a very big list of artisans that wanted to join us, so it was very fast. Uh, and then in February of this year, we launched the partnership. We are doing all the amenity bags they give to business. Well, it's called Delta One, that's the business tier.
Yeah.
Uh, and something very cool is that all the products come with a QR code that allows you to meet the artisan that made your product.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and even in this platform, you can even send them a direct message to thank them or to tell them how you are using them. So it's really nice that every time we visit, which is very often, we share the messages, and translate them, because they come from, I think now there's been more than 100 countries.
Yeah.
uh, but it's very empowering for them to see how what they did is reaching all parts of the world, and people really appreciate the story behind them. Uh, and in the platform they also share their dreams, like why they are doing this.
Hmm.
You can learn what are you supporting by getting that particular product. uh, so a lot of people, the messages are like encouraging them to achieve their dreams, and saying that they can do them, no.
This is amazing, Antonio. I love hearing all that. So, in one of the things I love hearing is the idea that, this isn't just a small idea. This is a huge idea. We're talking about millions of people, millions of products. Um, so now people can buy your products directly as well, right? Yeah. So, what's
Yeah.
the easiest way for people to buy your products?
In someonesomewhere.com we have
Okay.
a US website, and yeah, it's like you can find all the different things we have. But yes, we have the brand side where we sell directly to people, and the partnership side where we do things like the one we did with Delta, where we work with companies and help them integrate artisans and sustainable materials into their supply chain. Actually, some very cool news is that last week we announced that we are the first Mexican manufacturing company to get the climate neutral certificate.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
So thank you. Yeah, we are very. It took a while, but we are very excited because we think that's the right path we need to go through.
No, that's so cool. Antonio, I always like to ask people that are doing something that is so great, like you're doing, and have such a good reason for doing it, and are making a difference. Uh, what was your upbringing, your childhood like? Was there something in your childhood that gave you an impetus to do something like this, that wanted you to, do something to help people, not just to make money, but to help people at the same time? I mean, can you think of anything in your childhood or background that maybe kind of directed you that way?
I think a key part was traveling a lot, because that allowed me to connect with more worlds that, or more places than mine.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think the, like, being raised in a way where caring about people and everyone around me was very obvious since the beginning.
Hmm.
And also, I think there was a lot of luck involved, and realizing how lucky you are.
Oh,
But
yeah.
that part combined with traveling and meeting people that didn't get that luck, I think was the moment or the spark to everything. Like saying, wow, this is so unfair, and these people are way smarter than me, and it's just where I was born, and a fact, a matter of luck. Uh, so I think that was like all the that brought all the energy and the spark to do this.
What a wonderful note to end on, Antonio. That humility is so important, and I think if there's one thing that all of our leaders that we honor have in common is that humility. And it's not about some CEO or leader saying I'm so cool, I'm so great. That's why I made all this money. It's saying, hey, look at these people. There's so many smart people out there doing so many things. How can I help them? And we collaborate and help each other. And that's extraordinary. I love that. I love what you said. So, and I love all the things you said, Antonio. Thank you so much. We like to continue these conversations in a lot of different ways, and we certainly want to have you back again, and have you weigh in on a lot of other ideas. And we're probably going to be doing some panels with some other leaders, and maybe we'll have a chance to have you and Ed on at the same time, and maybe some other people to talk about some of these things and the whole collaboration idea, because it really is extraordinary. When people start collaborating and partnering like this, like you did with Delta and like so many other people, um, the sum is so much greater than the individual parts. And when you get like-minded people on board doing this thing, you really can change the world, as you are proving. So, thank you once again for joining us and for telling our viewers all about this. And we really, really love what you're doing and wish you all the luck in the world. And we're going to talk about you guys as much as we can and promote this as much as we can.
Thank you, Chris. And I think also thank you for spreading the word about our work, because this is how we reach the right people and the people ready to collaborate. So your part is crucial on this equation.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Antonio, for taking your time, and we'll talk to you soon, I'm sure. Okay.
Perfect, Chris. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.